Let's first take a look at the API access settings inside of our project. We'll have a look at the Content API settings first. These are the permissions that apply when you do not provide any authentication, such as a permanent auth token, when making a request to the GraphCMS API. We can see here under the public content API that we can change the default stage in which content is delivered from. There'll be more here if you have more content stages. We can also initialize some defaults for our content API, and by default this will allow read on all of our published content entries across all models. Now if we go ahead and disable that content API permission and make a query inside of the API playground to fetch all posts, we'll see here that this is not allowed. But if we go back and enable that read all models on the stage published and make the same query, you'll now see we have the response. Let's go ahead and delete that permission. And instead of initializing defaults, we'll create a new permission. And here you can notice you can select all or individual models and the locale which you can read and the stages in which you can read that content from. You can also set a condition and apply this to multiple rules throughout different permissions across your API. So here, if we make a request to fetch all categories and we fetch the title of our category, you'll see that this is not allowed again. We'll need to create a new permission that enables us to read categories and read this from the default publish stage. Now that has been created and we rerun the query, we'll now see that we can access categories. As your list of Content API permissions grow, you can sort these by action, model, and apply filters to the locales, models, and much more. Now let's take a look at creating our very first permanent auth token. We can give it a name and set the default stage for the Content API. Then we can manage the Content API permissions or the Management API. First, let's create a Content API permission. We'll allow this token to read, create, update, publish, unpublish, and read all versions of all of our content across stages and locales. You can also initialize and customize the Management API permissions for this token. So not only can this token create, read, update, publish your content, it can also create the individual models, relationships, fields across your project. Now let's create an additional token that you may want to use in production. This time you may want to set the default stage to be published, and you may want to initialize the defaults or configure a subset of permissions across your models. You may only want to allow access to one individual model, and in this case this could be to read all of your posts only, and you may want to specify the publish stage as the stage in which the content is delivered. We can also specify a condition on our permanent auth tokens. In this case we have an ID, so if we make a request using the production token, we'll only get the post with the ID that we specified in the conditions.